Imagine for a moment that you are standing at the threshold of a profound transformation, a moment when the universe seems to conspire in your favor to bring someone truly extraordinary into your life. This is not mere fantasy or wishful thinking, but rather a phenomenon that Carl Jung, one of the most visionary psychologists of our time, spent decades studying and documenting through his groundbreaking work on synchronicity and the collective unconscious. Jung believed that certain moments in our lives are not accidents, but rather meaningful coincidences orchestrated by forces far deeper than our conscious awareness, forces that guide us toward our ultimate destiny and highest potential. Throughout this exploration, we will examine 5 unmistakable signs that suggest the universe is preparing your soul for an encounter with someone who will fundamentally alter the course of your life in ways you cannot yet imagine. Before we delve into these transformative signs, it is essential to understand the philosophical framework that underpins this entire discussion. Carl Jung introduced the concept of synchronicity as a fundamental principle of human existence, describing it as a meaningful coincidence that occurs when inner psychological events align perfectly with external circumstances in ways that seem too precise to be mere chance. Jung argued that our unconscious mind possesses an extraordinary ability to recognize and respond to these synchronistic events, even when our conscious rational mind struggles to comprehend them. He believed that every individual possesses an inner guide, an archetype he called the self, which constantly communicates with us through dreams, intuitions, and meaningful coincidences, always directing us toward our ultimate fulfillment and spiritual evolution. The journey toward meeting the right person begins long before the actual encounter takes place. It commences in the invisible realm of your psyche, in the depths of your unconscious mind, where your true desires, your authentic needs, and your deepest longings are held and protected. Jung believed that when we are approaching a significant meeting with another soul, our unconscious begins to prepare us through a series of increasingly obvious signs and signals, much like a maestro conducting an orchestra, bringing all the instruments into perfect harmony before the grand finale begins. The collective unconscious, which Jung described as a deeper layer of the psyche shared by all humanity, begins to resonate with frequencies that align you with a person destined to enter your life. These signs are not random occurrences, but rather carefully orchestrated messages from the deepest parts of your being, urging you to pay attention, to trust the process, and to remain open to the possibilities that are unfolding before you. The first unmistakable sign that the right person is about to enter your life manifests as sudden and unexpected changes in your inner emotional landscape. These are not the gradual shifts that occur naturally over time, but rather sudden transformations that seem to arrive without warning, as if a switch has been flipped within your soul. You may find yourself feeling increasingly restless with circumstances that previously satisfied you, or you may discover that old patterns of thinking no longer resonate with who you are becoming. This inner turbulence is actually your unconscious mind, clearing away the obstacles and limitations that have kept you from recognizing and receiving the love and connection you truly deserve. Jung described this phenomenon as the activation of the self archetype, a process in which your deepest authentic nature begins to emerge and assert itself more powerfully in your conscious awareness and outward expression. These sudden inner changes often manifest as a burning desire for growth, a hunger for experiences that push you beyond your comfort zone, or an inexplicable sense that you are on the verge of something monumental. You might find yourself drawn to new activities, new environments, or new ways of thinking that feel both exciting and terrifying simultaneously. This feeling of standing at the edge of transformation is significant because it indicates that your psyche is actively preparing you to receive someone who matches this higher version of yourself. When the right person enters your life, they will recognize and honor this evolved version of who you are becoming, rather than who you were in the past. The discomfort you feel during this period is not a sign that something is wrong, but rather evidence that something profoundly right is about to happen, that your entire being is being reorganized at the deepest level to accommodate this incoming connection. Pay close attention to the content of your inner thoughts during this time. You may notice yourself questioning beliefs you once held firmly, examining relationships and situations from completely new perspectives, and feeling a growing conviction that you're ready for something different, something better, something more aligned with your authentic soul. This is your higher self communicating with your conscious mind, preparing you for the arrival of someone whose presence will further accelerate your transformation. Trust these inner changes even when they feel unsettling, for they are signs that the universe is actively working on your behalf, reshaping your consciousness to receive the gift that is coming. The second profound sign that the right person is about to enter your life emerges through your dream world, that magnificent realm where your unconscious communicates directly with your conscious mind, unfiltered and unguarded. Jung placed enormous significance on dreams, viewing them not as meaningless nighttime hallucinations but as precious messages from the deepest layers of your psyche, containing wisdom and guidance that your waking mind cannot access. He spent his entire career developing methods to interpret and understand the symbolic language of dreams, believing that dreams are the primary mechanism through which the unconscious reveals its intentions and knowledge to those willing to listen. When significant changes are about to occur in your life, your dreams begin to shift in noticeable ways, reflecting the transformations taking place in your inner world and signaling the approach of someone who will permanently alter your life trajectory. You may begin experiencing recurring dreams that feature mysterious figures, symbols, or scenarios that feel emotionally charged and deeply significant, even if you cannot immediately understand their literal meaning. These dreams often contain archetypal figures such as the wise old man or woman, the shapeshifter, the lover, or the hero, characters that appear across cultures and throughout history because they represent universal patterns of human experience and potential. Jung believed that these archetypal figures are not random creations of a sleeping mind, but rather manifestations of the collective unconscious, the deepest layer of the psyche shared by all humanity. When these figures begin appearing more frequently in your dreams, it indicates that your unconscious is preparing you for a significant encounter, that it is activating certain psychological capacities and potentials that will be essential for recognizing and fully receiving the right person when they appear. Pay special attention to the emotional tone of these dreams, rather than focusing exclusively on their literal content. Dreams that feature feelings of anticipation, excitement, recognition, or even anxiety about meeting someone new are particularly significant. You might dream of waiting for someone, of searching through crowds to find a familiar yet unknown face, or of feeling an inexplicable sense of familiarity with a stranger. These dreams are not predictions of specific events, but rather symbolic representations of your soul's readiness to welcome deep connection into your life. Notice also if dreams feature the emergence of your own inner completeness, scenarios in which you feel whole and capable and radiant. For these dreams are preparing your psyche for the recognition of your complementary other, the person whose energy will harmonize perfectly with your own. The symbolism in these dreams is crucial to understand. Water often represents emotions and the flow of life force, so dreams of crossing rivers or swimming through clear waters may indicate emotional readiness and the flow of new love approaching. Fire can represent passion, transformation, and the burning away of old patterns that no longer serve you. Light, particularly the light of dawn or a radiant sun, frequently symbolizes illumination, awakening consciousness, and the arrival of something precious and long-awaited. Keep a dream journal during this transformative period, recording not just the events of your dreams, but also your feelings upon waking, the colors that stood out, the individuals who appeared, and any recurring themes or symbols. This practice honors your dreams as the profound communications they truly are and trains your conscious mind to become fluent in the symbolic language of your unconscious, increasing your ability to receive and understand these precious messages. Jung also emphasized the significance of dreams that feature reunion or recognition of someone you have somehow known before, even though you have never met them in waking life. These dreams suggest that your soul recognizes this person at a level that transcends time and space, that there is a karmic or archetypal connection that predates your current incarnations or circumstances. Such dreams are powerful indicators that the right person is indeed about to enter your life, and that your unconscious mind already possesses knowledge of this coming encounter. Trust these dreams, revisit them in your waking mind, and allow them to prepare your heart and consciousness for the meeting that awaits. The third compelling sign that signals the impending arrival of the right person into your life manifests through an increase in meaningful coincidences, synchronicities that seem far too precise and perfectly timed to be explained by ordinary chance or probability. Jung developed the concept of synchronicity specifically because he observed in his clinical practice and in his own life that certain events seemed to align in ways that suggested a deeper order underlying the apparent randomness of existence. He was fascinated by instances in which a person would be thinking about someone and that person would unexpectedly call, or in which an individual would stumble upon exactly the information or resource they needed at precisely the moment they needed it most. Jung believed these were not flukes or lucky breaks, but rather manifestations of a deeper intelligence woven into the fabric of reality, an intelligence that guides and choreographs events toward meaningful outcomes. When the right person is about to enter your life, the frequency and intensity of these synchronistic events typically increases dramatically. You might notice that you keep encountering the same name repeatedly, seeing it on signs, overhearing it in conversations, reading it in books, with a frequency that seems statistically improbable. You may experience a series of fortunate circumstances that seem to clear obstacles from your path, to open doors that were previously closed, to introduce you to people who turn out to know exactly who you need to meet. These are not accidents, but rather signs that the universe is actively working to bring you and this other person into proximity, that the cosmic forces are aligning to create the conditions necessary for your meeting. Pay close attention to the quality of these coincidences rather than focusing solely on their frequency. A true synchronicity carries a feeling of rightness, a sense of meaningfulness that distinguishes it from ordinary coincidence. When something synchronistic occurs, you often feel a subtle inner recognition, a knowing that this event is significant and purposeful, even if you cannot yet understand its full meaning or implications. The right person approaching your life often announces themselves through an increasing cascade of these meaningful coincidences, opportunities that arise unbidden, connections that form unexpectedly, and circumstances that align in your favor with remarkable precision. These synchronicities are not products of luck, but rather evidence that your inner world and outer circumstances are coming into perfect alignment, creating the optimal conditions for the arrival of someone destined for you. And consider also the role of chance meetings and unexpected introductions during this period. You might find yourself in unusual places at unusual times, meeting people who seem to have important information or connections, encountering situations that seem designed specifically to move you closer to your destined meeting. Jung believed that the unconscious possesses the ability to guide behavior in subtle ways, to nudge us toward certain locations and situations, to influence our choices in directions that align with deeper purposes we are not consciously aware of. Trust these nudges, honor these unexpected invitations and encounters, and remain alert to the possibility that seemingly random meetings may be anything but random. The fourth remarkable sign that the right person is about to enter your life manifests as a dramatically amplified intuition, an inner knowing that seems to transcend ordinary reasoning and logic. Intuition, in the Jungian framework, is not a vague feeling or baseless hunch, but rather a highly sophisticated form of perception through which the unconscious mind communicates directly with the conscious mind, conveying information and wisdom that has been gathered and processed beyond the threshold of conscious awareness. Jung identified intuition as one of the four primary psychological functions through which humans perceive and interact with reality, placing it on equal footing with thinking, feeling, and sensation as legitimate and essential modes of consciousness. When significant changes approach, your intuitive capacities typically become sharper, clearer, and more reliable than ever before, as your unconscious mind intensifies its efforts to guide you toward your destined encounter. You may find yourself experiencing sudden flashes of insight about people, situations, or possibilities that prove to be remarkably accurate, even when you lack any rational basis for knowing what you somehow know. You might meet someone and immediately sense whether this person is significant in your life or merely a passing acquaintance, whether they carry messages or lessons for you, or whether they are simply a pleasant but inconsequential encounter. Your body itself becomes a sensitive instrument of intuition during this period, conveying messages through physical sensations that your rational mind has not yet consciously registered. You might experience sudden warmth in your heart region, tingling sensations, goosebumps, or other bodily responses when encountering something or someone that your unconscious recognizes as significant and meaningful. The voice of your intuition becomes increasingly distinct and unmistakable during the period preceding the arrival of the right person. It whispers to you about possibilities that excite and energize you. It warns you away from situations and connections that are not aligned with your highest good. It nudges you toward paths that feel right, even when you cannot fully explain why. Learn to distinguish between the voice of intuition, which is calm, clear, and carries a sense of rightness, and the voice of fear, which is frantic, uncertain, and filled with doubts and what-ifs. Intuition speaks with authority and calm conviction, while fear stammers and second-guesses itself constantly. During this transformative period, trust your intuition implicitly, act on its guidance, and watch how the universe conspires to support every courageous step you take in the direction it indicates. Many people report that as the right person approaches, their intuitive abilities expand to include the sensing of others' emotions and intentions, a kind of empathic knowing that allows them to perceive what another person truly needs or feels beneath the surface of their words and behaviors. This expanded empathy is preparation for the deep understanding that true love requires for the mutual recognition and appreciation that characterizes a soul-aligned partnership. Your intuition is preparing you to see and understand this coming person in their entirety, to recognize their authentic self beneath any masks or defenses they may have constructed, and to offer them the kind of genuine acceptance and love that heals old wounds and awakens dormant potential. The fifth and final profound sign that the right person is about to enter your life manifests as a comprehensive personal transformation, a fundamental reorganization of your being at every level: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. This transformation goes far beyond temporary mood improvements or surface-level changes. It represents a deep restructuring of your sense of identity, your values, your priorities, and your understanding of what constitutes a meaningful life. Jung believed that the self, the deepest and most authentic core of who you truly are, is constantly driving you toward greater wholeness and integration, toward the realization of your highest potential and most authentic expression. When this process of self-actualization intensifies dramatically, it often signals that your unconscious is preparing you for an encounter that will profoundly accelerate this transformation. This personal transformation typically manifests first in your relationship with yourself. You may find yourself developing greater self-compassion, releasing harsh self-judgment, and beginning to appreciate and celebrate aspects of yourself that you previously criticized or rejected. You might discover new talents, interests, or capacities that you had not previously recognized or developed, as if your psyche is revealing previously hidden dimensions of your being. You invest more intentionally in your physical health, your mental well-being, and your spiritual development, understanding intuitively that you are preparing yourself to be worthy and capable of receiving the kind of love you truly desire. This is not about trying to change yourself to be more attractive or appealing to others, but rather about honoring yourself so completely that you naturally become more attractive and radiant. Simultaneously, you may experience a transformation in how you relate to others and to the world around you. Your boundaries become clearer and firmer as you learn to say no to situations and people that do not serve your highest good, and yes to opportunities that align with your authentic values and aspirations. You become less willing to settle, less willing to accept mediocrity or superficiality in your connections and circumstances. This discernment is not coldness or judgment, but rather clarity, the ability to distinguish between what truly nourishes you and what merely numbs or distracts you. You find yourself naturally gravitating toward people of greater depth and authenticity, toward communities and environments that support your growth and celebrate your evolution. Your spiritual awareness typically deepens dramatically during this preparatory period. You may find yourself drawn to practices that cultivate presence and awareness, whether through meditation, prayer, time in nature, artistic expression, or other disciplines that quiet the mind and open the heart. You may experience moments of genuine transcendence, experiences of connection to something greater than yourself, a felt sense of being held and guided by intelligence beyond your individual consciousness. These spiritual experiences are not escapes from reality, but rather deeper connections to reality, profound touchstones that prepare your soul for the meeting that awaits and expand your capacity to recognize true love when it arrives. The transformation you undergo during this period also manifests in your creative expression and your contribution to the world. You may find yourself called to pursue projects that align more closely with your authentic passion, to express yourself more fully and courageously, to offer your gifts more generously to others. This creative awakening is not coincidental, but rather evidence that your entire being is being activated and optimized, that your life force is flowing more powerfully through every dimension of your being. The right person will recognize and honor this creative power when they meet you, will be drawn to your authenticity and passion, will complement and celebrate your evolution. Throughout all of these transformations, you may notice a shift in your sense of time and possibility. The future no longer feels predetermined or fixed. Instead, it feels alive with possibility, pregnant with potential, open to miraculous outcomes that your previous self could not have imagined. You develop a quiet confidence that something wonderful is unfolding, even in moments when doubt or fear arise. This confidence is not wishful thinking or denial of reality, but rather a genuine alignment with deeper truth, an attunement to the intelligence and benevolence that underlies existence. You understand increasingly that you are not a passive victim of circumstance, but rather a creative participant in your own destiny, a co-creator with a co-create with the universe in the unfolding of your life story. As you reflect on these 5 signs and recognize them manifesting in your own life, understand that they are not guarantees of a specific outcome, but rather indicators that profound transformation is underway, that your entire being is being reorganized at the deepest levels in preparation for something significant. The arrival of the right person is not simply about romance or companionship, though it certainly may include both. Rather, it is about the meeting of 2 souls at a moment of mutual readiness, the convergence of 2 individuals who have each completed enough of their own psychological and spiritual work to be capable of true partnership, genuine reciprocity, and authentic love. Carl Jung spent his lifetime studying the deeper patterns and processes that govern human psychology and spiritual development. He understood that we are far more than our conscious minds, that we possess depths of wisdom and knowing that far exceed what we can access through rational thought alone. He believed that the universe itself is intelligent, that it is fundamentally oriented toward supporting our growth and evolution, and that if we develop the capacity to listen to the messages our unconscious mind constantly transmits through dreams, intuitions, coincidences, and synchronicities, we will find ourselves guided toward our highest good and deepest fulfillment. The five signs we have explored in this discussion are not mystical mysteries, but rather recognizable patterns that emerge when your inner and outer worlds begin to align, when you become increasingly attuned to the deeper intelligence that coordinates your life. These signs are invitations to trust the process, to have faith in your own deepest knowing, and to remain open and receptive to the possibilities that are unfolding. They are evidence that the universe is conspiring in your favor, that invisible forces are working on your behalf, and that the right person is indeed approaching, drawn toward you by forces as powerful as the gravity that holds the planets in their orbits around the sun. And continue to cultivate awareness of these signs as you move forward in your life. Journal about your dreams, noting patterns and symbols that recur. Pay attention to your intuitive nudges and the messages your body communicates through physical sensations. Notice the meaningful coincidences that seem to multiply as you become more attuned to them. Most importantly, continue your own personal and spiritual transformation, understanding that this process of becoming your best and most authentic self is precisely what attracts and prepares you to receive the right person when they arrive. Your evolution is never wasted, never pointless. It is always preparation for the next chapter of your life, the next level of love and connection and meaning that awaits you. The universe is far more intelligent and benevolent than our everyday awareness typically allows us to recognize. It is constantly conspiring on our behalf, orchestrating synchronicities, guiding our paths, and preparing us for encounters that will transform our lives in ways we cannot yet imagine. Trust this intelligence, honor these signs, and remain open to the mystery and the magic that are already unfolding in your life. The right person is approaching, and you are being prepared to receive them with a heart that is healed, expanded, and ready to love with an authenticity and depth that only comes from the conscious pursuit of your own truth and wholeness. Share your experiences of these signs in the comments below. Subscribe to this channel to continue receiving guidance and wisdom from the teachings of Carl Jung and other great explorers of the human psyche, and like this video to support the creation of more content dedicated to your psychological and spiritual evolution.